Hello, friends. Dr. John WorldPeace JD coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico, USA. It's December the 14th, about 2:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Today's commentary is Israel cannot win in Gaza. Everyday global hatred for the Zionists increases. 23/12/14, that's the date. Friends, the arrogant Zionists who have been allowed to get away with murdering Palestinians and ethnically cleansing Gaza for 75 years have finally initiated an in-game showdown. Every American in 2 weeks, when they're having Christmas with their families, are going to think about the Zionist holocaust in Gaza. People cold, starving, sick, no water, no medical care, no hope, mostly because of the United States of America support of Zion. Biden needs to demand the Zionists open the gates to allow food, water, medical supplies to come into Gaza. And if the Zionists do not do it, then Biden needs to send in American soldiers to open the gates and give relief to the Gazans. The USA owns 100% of the insanity that's going on in Zionist Gaza and the Zionist Holocaust in Gaza. It's not a war in Gaza. It's a Holocaust where a modern army fights against freedom fighters in street clothes with rifles. The Zionists are bombing homes, schools, mosques, hospitals, and basically everything with the UN symbol on it in Gaza. They have total contempt for the UN. They have killed 20,000 Gazans, and they claim thousands are terrorists with no proof, and ignore the fact that they are closing in on 10,000 murdered children. Not to mention the murder they are increasingly committing in the West Bank and the settlers they are arming to murder Palestinians all over Palestine. These people have gone nuts. But it's because the United States of America has supported them in their bad acts since 1948. Now the time has come to stop. I absolutely believe that twice as many Gazans join the Hamas freedom fighters daily as the Zionists claim they kill each day. The Zionists killed 10 Hamas freedom fighters, and their ranks swell by 20. The Zionists cannot win their Holocaust. Christmas is the unstated date when every human being on the planet that celebrates Christmas will be thinking about the 2.3 million Palestinians being slowly murdered in Gaza. There's going to be a mass die-off beginning in the next few weeks in Gaza as these starving, sick people, no water, no food, no medical care, are being slowly murdered. There's going to be a mass die-off beginning in a few weeks, and it will not stop but increase every day until the United States muzzles its rabid Zionist. Without the world intervention, the mass murder, crime against humanity foisted on the Gazans by the Zionists is going to go to the 100,000 mark in January and then spin out of control. People can't not eat for a month. It's crazy. This has been going on for over 2 months already. 1,200 Israelis dead, captured, whatever, and 150 hostages still being held, And that number really hasn't moved. But the dead Gazans has moved up. That number's moved up to 20,000. Half are children. That just tells you how sick the world is. And they need to increase the peace. Cannot sustain this insanity in the world human society, not to mention what Putin is doing in Ukraine. When the world fully faces the horror of the Zionist holocaust in Gaza, it will be the same as the Russians and Americans freeing Nazi concentration camps for the Jews all over Europe. There is a story that Eisenhower imprisoned 1 million Nazis at the end of World War II and starved them to death as retribution for the concentration camps. There has been underlying hatred for Jews for thousands of years, and that hatred is now being fueled undeniably with undeniable crimes against humanity by the Zionists in Gaza and also the rest of Palestine. The world is seeing how much behind-the-scenes influence the Zionists have in American universities and in the U.S. House, Senate, and White House. All these Palestinians have been bought and paid for by the Zionists. The U.S. is going to have to get behind and enforce a two-state solution in the world, and the world is going to have to join in to force all the Zionists behind the 1967 borderlines of Israel. The Zionists are not going to take over outside those lines, and they will never take control of Jerusalem, much less the Temple Mount. That wet dream they have had is going to forever die in Gaza, which is exactly what should happen. As Gazans die, they will praise the Hamas freedom fighters who have died to liberate all of Palestine from Zionists' 75-year chokehold. Zion is soon to be muzzled and diminished as their true colors show more and more. People are already beginning to reconsider what it was that drove Hitler to try to exterminate all the Jews. What was he thinking? In the 1960s, we had the intense battle lines over Vietnam and civil rights on all the college campuses, like now regarding the Zionist holocaust in Gaza. In every class I went to then, students were physically divided in classes based on their political positions. The USA lost the war in Vietnam. The Zionists are going to lose the Holocaust in Gaza. I think there's a good chance that Netanyahu and his wife and son are going to suffer the fate of Mussolini. Fascist governments do not last in the world human society. If you want to see the future Israel is going for, look at the theocracy in Iran, a religious fascist nation. All the protests all over the world and the USA have had no effect. I keep saying until there is one non-government spokesman for the global movement for Palestinian justice, nothing is going to happen. Governments are too entrenched in the status quo for Palestine. One voice is what is required, and I am that voice. So contribute below. Nothing has worked. 10 weeks. Nothing has worked. People go out and protest and go home and have a hot dog. Nothing's changing. It's all been gone through in Vietnam, during the Vietnam War and civil rights. All this has been done. This is Dr. John WorldPeace JD, the only advocate for Jesus Christ. John 14:25, the advocate for the teachings of Jesus not corporate Christian nationalism that is an abomination to Jesus. The only global advocate for peace and world peace. That's me. Contribute to peace in Gaza and peace on American college campuses. Go to WorldPeaceTeachingPeace.com. Contribute. These links are below. A transcript of this commentary is also down there. Enough is enough. There's 2.3 million Gazans starving to death in the cold. No food, no water, no fuel, no hospitals, nothing. And Israel is lobbing artillery shells right in the middle of these people, even though they tell them they're in safe zones. And America wants to keep supplying bullets and bombs to the Israelis. What's wrong with this picture? And the Israelis are banging the war drums for Hezbollah in Lebanon, as if they don't have enough going on. They're killing Palestinians daily in the West Bank and arming the settlers. They're trying to take over all of Palestine, plus Jerusalem and the Temple Mount, and make a ethnically cleansed, all Jew, all Zionist Israel. Nobody can deny what they're trying to do. And Joe Biden is sitting back and letting it happen. Joe Biden has the power to stop this in a New York minute. He calls up Netanyahu and says, stop it, or you're going to be seeing the landing of American soldiers in Gaza. It's Dr. John WorldPeace JD, the only advocate for world peace and the only person anywhere on the internet that's incensed about what's going on in Palestine. Enough is enough. Think about it.